This week on Major Pain, we have an incredible episode for you with Pallavi discussing not only her fibromyalgia journey, but the spiritual impact it had on her life. I'm so excited to bring this episode to you, and before we do, I just have a couple of announcements and thank yous. First of all, recently Major Pain was selected as one of the top 100 chronic illness podcasts on FeedSpot, podcast.feedspot.com. We are actually number 6 on the list, which is a huge honor. Thank you so much to FeedSpot for this honor and also for shining a light on the amazing chronic illness podcasts that there are out there on the internet. Major Pain is an excellent company on this list, and I will share a link in the show notes of this episode. Recently, Major Pain got a donation from our regular listener, Danielle Signorelli, who's also been on the podcast before. Thank you so much for this $25 donation. It is so appreciated. And of course, Major Pain receives monthly financial support from our listeners on Patreon. Thank you so much to everybody supporting this show. It really means a lot. As I'm going through the process of trying to find somebody to hire to help produce the show, this Patreon income is crucial. We have 3 tiers of support on Patreon: the $2 per month supporter tier, $7 per month patron tier, and $25 per month producer tier. Each tier comes with different levels of recognition and gifts, including Major Pain coasters and tote bags made by my mom, and everyone gains access to our monthly bonus podcast with myself and my wife, Andy. We recently released an episode all about our honeymoon. Extra special thank you to our Patreon producers supporting us at the highest tier of $25 per month: Steve Kavanaugh, Chris Fowler, Trish O'Brien, and Hipster Leia. One big announcement about Patreon. I've mentioned this a few times recently, but I want to keep telling you about it because it now goes into effect. Due to some changes on the iOS App Store, Patreon now needs to use the iOS checkout process, which is adding a 30% fee to every transaction. That means that if you are on an Apple device and you sign up on Patreon, the prices you see will be 30% higher than what everyone else will see on every other platform. And none of that increase goes to the creation of this podcast. You can get around this by signing up on a web browser instead of on an Apple device. This only affects new people signing up. If you've already signed up on Patreon, it should not affect your account at all. This goes for not just monthly subscriptions, but also for individual purchases. And I have started making the bonus podcast available on an individual basis if anyone wants to try purchasing an episode just to get a sense for what the bonus episode is all about. Or maybe you just want to hop in and listen to one every once in a while, like this special episode where Andy and I talk about our honeymoon or our wedding. A while back on our engagement episode, I actually played the song that I played to her when I proposed. So there's a lot of really special stuff on the bonus podcast. I've only started making the few most recent episodes available for individual purchase. If this is something that people are interested in, I'm happy to go back through the catalog and make more episodes available. So please let me know. You can always reach me, majorpainpodcast@gmail.com. In case you haven't heard, Andy and I requested that for our wedding registry, people donate to a fund to help provide genetic testing for individuals in need. We raised over $9,000. The first 2 people have been selected and genetic testing is underway. We actually have test results for the first person. I have a meeting with them tomorrow to hear about these results, and testing is getting underway for the second person. This has been such a huge honor and joy for me. If you've been listening to the podcast for a long time, you know my story. You know how important I feel it is for people to have access to genetic testing, especially if you don't know what is wrong with your body, if you have a mystery illness, if you are sick and you don't know why, just like the position that I was in when Andy bought genetic testing for me. We have discussed with these first 2 individuals having them on the podcast, sharing their stories, and that's something that will hopefully be in the works soon. And we are still finalizing the third person who will be receiving this testing. And this is just one of many amazing, exciting things that has been happening in my life recently. Life has been so busy. I'm now working full-time. I can't believe it, and I've been pretty stable with my health. I'm in the process of letting go of my disability, which is unbelievable. I actually have been really struggling to get in touch with anyone from Social Security to figure out how to let them know that I'm now overqualified for disability as far as how much money I'm earning per month at my jobs. And I actually learned something really cool that I wanted to share. So I had been calling the Social Security office, the one closest to me, over and over, and I could not get through. And they no longer accept appointments online, and you can't walk in anymore. You have to call. And I would wake up and I would call the moment that the office opened. If I called 1 minute earlier, it would hang up on me and say, you have to wait until 9 a.m. So I'd wait till 9 a.m., I'd call immediately, I would wait in a phone queue for a long time, and then it would hang up on me. It would say, I'm sorry, there's too many people trying to call today. Try back another day. And this happened over and over again. And I'm just like, there's no way to get in touch with anyone. I mean, what am I supposed to do in this situation? I actually mentioned this to my therapist, who had this great idea to try calling other offices, maybe call in a neighborhood that is less dense. So I just zoomed out on Google Maps and I looked at all of Washington and started calling all the different Social Security offices. And I finally got through to someone and had a great conversation where I learned that what I need to do is actually report my income, and that I should have been reporting my income monthly the entire time that I have been on disability, which is complete news to me. No one ever mentioned this. I was under the impression that they could see my income automatically, either through my pay stubs through work or through my tax returns, and apparently that's not the case. When I finally got someone on the phone, they had no reported income for me at all. So this is something I was supposed to have been doing manually. And now all I have to do is go back through the last year and submit all my income, and it should flag them that I am now overqualifying and I will no longer be receiving disability payments, which is surreal. I mean, for so long, I fought so hard to get on disability and I needed it so desperately. And then right when I got disability was right around when I got diagnosed. And it was actually part of why I won my disability case, because I'd been rejected so many times. But I won my case because I finally had a diagnosis, a doctor's note that says this is why this person is sick and cannot work anymore. And that's also around when I started getting the medication that I needed to not be that sick anymore. So it just all kind of worked out beautifully. I won my case. I got back pay for several years, and I slowly started going back to work, testing out my body, eventually crossing the threshold where I am now overqualified to receive disability. And you can actually stay in that state where you're earning too much for 9 months, which is pretty amazing. That's pretty generous. I originally thought it was just 3 months, but then I discovered that it was actually 9 months. And once I'm off disability payments, it's actually super easy to go back on if I have to stop working because of my health. So after years and years of fighting and feeling like the system was so unfair, when you get across that threshold, when you get disability, the system becomes extremely generous. And I'm so grateful. It's been so helpful. Anyway, let's get into today's episode. I'll just remind you before we do that there are several great ways to support this podcast beyond our Patreon campaign, our ongoing partnership with Rare Patient Voice, where you can be paid for your time to participate in research studies and surveys relating to your diagnosis. And it can be any diagnosis at all. It does not need to be a rare disease. Head to rarepatientvoice.com/majorpainpodcast to sign up. Everyone who signs up will be supporting this podcast when you do so, and then you go onto a list to be contacted when they have a research study or survey that relates to your condition. If you participate, you will be paid an average of $120 per hour for your time. I have signed up and I've been waiting for a research study or survey having to do with mast cell activation syndrome. It has not come up yet, but I've got my fingers crossed. I'd love to participate. I'll let you know if that ever happens because that'd be a fun thing to talk about on the podcast. We also have a great partnership with NeuroHealth, neurohealth.co/majorpain. This is an online headache and neurology clinic where you can get the help you deserve without having to wait. It's such a common theme on this podcast, people waiting for 9 months to a year for a neurology appointment. NeuroHealth also specializes in rare diseases, and you actually get a discount if you use our link when you sign up. That link again is neurohealth.co/majorpain. And we also have our Amazon shop. I've listed a bunch of products that I use to manage my own chronic illness, or you can start any Amazon shopping trip from my Amazon shop and then move on to purchase anything else at all, and you will still be supporting Major Pain. Just head to amazon.com/shop/majorpainpodcast to start your shopping trip. As we jump into our episode today, the last thing I will tell you is, as always, a reminder that I am not a medical professional. Please do not take any medical action based off what you hear on this podcast without first consulting your doctor.
How lucky it is just to get through a day without pain.
If you look at me, it doesn't appear that I have a disability.
A test that comes back abnormal, it's like, yes, we're onto something here.
Welcome to Major Pain. I'm your host, Jesse Mercury, and I'm so excited this week to be joined by my guest, Pallavi. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much.
I'm so excited to talk to you. We've just been chatting a little bit, and I can already tell this is going to be such a fun episode today. I am getting over a little bit of a cold, so hopefully my voice doesn't sound too rough, but I have a lot of energy, and I'm very excited to be here and talking to you. So let's get to know you a little bit. Pallavi, why don't you tell us a little about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm Pallavi, and I've been born and brought up in India, and I have lived entire my young days, I would say my teens and my early 20s dancing. I was running dance schools everywhere, and I was doing well and enjoying my life. And then one day, 2011, my life changed. It took another turn because of one simple accident. And it just made me realize that simple accident that, anything in life is so fragile. And I am running after, trying to be the best dancer in the world, trying to reach 1 million students, and all of that. All of this would not matter if I would not have my good health in hand. So it
Yeah.
just changed the entire focus of my life towards health and well being. And I think that was one transformation year, I would say, of my life, where my whole life changed from being on the center stage and always dancing, moving from that to being behind the cameras and behind the scene and silently working on my health and my energies. Now I'm a big believer, not just of good health but of good energies. And I went to school to study that. I worked very hard to learn that, but because anything that sounds very easy is actually very difficult to practice. So all of this sounds very simple, but yeah, oh, you ate healthy food and you've been dancing and you've been exercising every day. But it requires a lot of discipline. It requires a lot of strength. And that's why I'm here. If I can, speak with the audience and let everybody know that these simple, small habits can change our life for good. And if we can just start with one small, simple habit every single day, then it has that magnetism to attract all the good habits towards you slowly and steadily. But just stick to one good habit.
Wow. Awesome. Yeah. I'm so excited to dive into all this. Before we do, what are you into for fun? What are you nerdy for? Are you a reader? Do you like outdoor activities? Tell us a little about what makes you tick.
So, yes, the dancer is still not out of me. So, I love to dance a lot. And it's just that I don't perform professionally now. But still, my go to happy place is dancing anytime. I celebrate anything small and big and everything by singing and dancing. Though my family, my husband, and my children, they tell me not to ever sing in front of anyone, not even in the shower. Give it a break. But that's my inner happiness. When it comes out in the form of singing and dancing. Otherwise, I am a big reading buff. You can see a lot of books right behind me. I love to read. I love to understand energy work. I love to understand mindset shifts. I love to understand how this magical body has been created. Every day, new studies are coming up. So I love to read and understand where. See, every kind of reading is not really grasping the reading, but it moves your understanding a little bit more about the subject. So I'm just working on that understanding of my body because I think that helps me in taking care of myself, and that helps me in taking care of other people. So reading is a big go. I even suggest a lot of books to everybody. I gift a lot of books. So I think that is something people expect out of me also. They have started asking me now, my friends and family, I finished this book reading. Which one should we go next? So yeah, so that's about it.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, interesting talking about good vibes and good energy. And, talking about the body and the way that it works and the way that our energy works in our bodies, something we don't know that much about. It's something that science hasn't been able to teach us that much about, but there are millennia of ancient wisdom revolved around that subject. And I think that's a very interesting topic, and I'd love to dive into that a little bit later in the show. Okay, but now I got to hear about your health journey. You've mentioned your accident and how that changed the course of your life. So, Pallavi, what is your major pain?
In simple words, it's called fibromyalgia. I am grateful to God that now everybody knows about it. But when that happened to me, one small accident, I was racing with my cousins over a bike, and I was the only one who fell from that bike, and I went sliding on the road really far. And if you look at it, it was not really that big an accident, but it just became big because after few days, after few weeks, I realized that the pain is not going away. So no matter what medicines I was taking, how much bed rest I did, I stopped dancing, but there was this consistent pain over my right side. So it started with my right hand, and it spread out to my right leg. And there came a moment after a month where I was not able to use my right side completely. And it was a hard time because I had got married 6 months just before this accident, and I was in a new place trying to settle up with my husband and running the dance business full-fledged. All my franchises, all the centers were going well. We were planning a big show coming up, and then I was dealing with this pain. And no matter where I was going, everybody was expecting something more out of me, that I would practice longer hours, I would give my time to my family, I would go out for vacations. But trust me, I was changed after that day. It was very different in a way that it was not just pain, it was more than pain. I felt like my hand and my leg was just immovable. I was explaining to different doctors. I don't remember how many doctors I went to, because when something is not getting diagnosed, the doctors will either refer you to another therapy, or to another doctor, or they give you another medicine. So I think I was taking every day a cocktail of medicines because no one knew what was wrong with me. But I could not eat, I was not sleeping, I was in horrible, horrible pain. And at that time, my biggest fight was explaining that there is pain, there is 24/7 pain, understand. And it was very unusual for anybody, even for my parents, my friends, my family, my husband. No one was no one was accepting the fact that there is 24/7 pain. And how is that possible? Because I was on 5 times a day I was taking painkiller, which was a lot for them already. And even that was not helping. And I was calling doctors that, can I take one more? Can I take like one more? Or I was dealing with pain, so I could take one painkiller in the night so I could get some sleep. So all my day I was managing, how do I take the medicine? So by the time the medicine gives its results, I am able to do something. I might take a shower. I might, speak with my husband. I might, do my choreographer's meeting. I might eat something. I might sleep. So I'm fixing up my medicine timings so I can be functional.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. It didn't help. It didn't help at all. And after, from going to a general physician to pain specialist to chiropractors to holistic doctors, I think I went everywhere. I even went to a therapist. Therapist was not a thing in India. I'm talking about 2011. It was a big deal how many doctors I was meeting on daily basis. But everybody said, oh, your reports are clear, everything is clear, and we just don't know. Just they were treating the symptoms, and that was also not helping because that would create another cocktail of medicines for me. So different bundles of medicines I was eating every day. I think it was more than 10 or 12 tablets. And I was extremely healthy before the accident. But in 1 month's time, I was unrecognizable. I had lost a lot of weight. I had no energy to step out of my bed. And I was in so much pain that shower became a problem. Eating became a problem. writing became a problem. Forget dancing, forget choreography. That was out of my life. So slowly my dance schools started shutting off at that time. And it was a big loss in business. And I canceled the show because I couldn't really dance and could not choreograph around it. So we canceled that annual show, which we were planning to do. Everything changed. And then I remember one of the days, it was such hard pain. I wanted to just tie my hair, have really long hair. I had longer hair at that time also. I wanted to just tie my hair. I could not pick my arm up. I remember my arm was not reaching up. So I got so angry on myself. I shaved all my hair because of anger. Because I was so angry that, the hand is just not ready to work no matter what you do. And it was hard. And my family was shocked. My husband was shocked. So I think he melted down a little bit and he started giving me shower, making me ready before he leaves for work. And I'm very grateful for him to do that for me. But I needed that kind of help at that time. I really needed that kind of help. Now the pain point was that reaching out to all the doctors and explaining them that how will you meet a doctor? You will just say you fell from a bike and you got these tests and you had these medicines. So every doctor gave me first reaction, why so many tests and why so many medicines? And I used to always tell them that, you take it away. I'm okay with it. Just help me get out of this pain. I was extremely desperate by then. And I was tired of explaining that it's still there. And it came with a lot of, how do you say, 1+. So it was not just pain. I think after a while, after the second month, I started dealing with the digestion. I was in brain fog because of so much painkillers I was popping in. Other medicines also. I think they gave me blood thinners, they gave me painkillers, and they gave me magnesium. Anything that could come handy. I think everybody had tried it on me. I became like a guinea pig that you come and try your cocktail of medicines on me. It wasn't really working. And being in India, there were other series of medicines as well. So there was holistic wellness. So there came Ayurveda, there come homeopathy, and I realized that I think I've had everything by now, and it didn't work. So. One day I heard one of the doctors telling my parents that, I don't think there is any pain. I think she just needs some attention.
What?
I think, that became my turnaround moment. I heard that and I was extremely shocked, angry, frustrated, and I didn't know how to react. They didn't mean to talk in front of me, but maybe that was the moment God has decided for me, and it turned some switch in my mind. That very moment. I think for some time I dealt with anger over it, that they're not able to understand and nobody's helping me. Rather, they're questioning me that there is pain or there is no pain. After a while, I understood that if the medical fraternity don't have answers for me, I will deal with myself. And when I decided that, I could think of two ways. One was end this life, restart. And second was do something, get rid of the pain. And I used to think that I can win the world once the pain is off. Because the pain was going on so constantly, I wanted just 15 minutes out of it, just to think, just to put my brain in center. I used to really talk to the pain that, please, for 15 minutes, can you be on hold? I want to breathe. I want to think. I'm not able to think. I was not able to take my focus away from pain. So yeah, so there I started um, with my journey. So my first option was end the life, and I tried that. So I went on and I came out of it because I really, really, really love my father and love my husband. And I think this, in my mind, they stopped me from attempting anything wrong.
Mm.
And I'm very grateful for that, that I thought about it, because God had other plans for me. So now I was left with only plan number two, which was working on myself. So in desperation, I started learning energy healing, because at that time I was listening a lot in India about Reiki, about pranic healing. Mm. And I used to think all of this is magic. You just go, you take a Reiki session, and they clear your energy and you're out of pain. You're done, you're sorted. So I started going for Reiki sessions regularly. But it didn't really help. I moved on to other energy sessions also. But it just made me realize that it was requiring a lot of money and a lot of time. So I did another trick. I started learning energy healing so I could treat my own self instead of going for every session. I started doing courses on them. But again, it was very messy because I wasn't really out of pain. And it was an effort to really step out of the bed and reach somewhere and move that much to learn the energy healing also, because my own energy was not really centered at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And in all my respiration, because I was trying anything, whatever I could think of, except medicine. I threw away all my medicines. I stopped taking my medicines. That made it even more worse for me. But I decided that I will do something, but I will not. I was so angry from the doctors that I will not eat medicine. I will do anything it takes, but I will not eat medicine. It was just out of the anger and lack of understanding. I don't recommend anybody should stop their medication. Don't. Please, never, never, never. I did that. I realized that I could have functioned a little bit more better if I could have been on my medication and still did all these steps. I would have done a little better job. Now, even in retrospection, I can see that. Then one day I reached to one of the energy classes and they made me do a meditation. So, in meditation, they make you sit and then they keep guiding you that you go back and check on your body. How are you feeling? Check on your body. How are you feeling? So I'm sitting in my meditation and checking on my body, like every beginner, trying to be with my breath and then trying to check my body. I realized there's no pain. And for a moment, I was shocked. So I went back. And, the skeptic me, I want to check again. And I said, yeah, that's right. There is no pain. Okay. I was very surprised. And I finished that meditation, whatever that lady was guiding, and I came out of it. And after, I think, a few minutes, the pain came back. But I could never forget that feeling. How relaxed I was, how lighter I was feeling. All of a sudden, how happy I was feeling that there was no pain.
Yeah.
And that became, I think, the changing point in my life where I started going for that meditation session again and again just to be out of pain for a little while. I started strategizing that when I will be out of pain, I would like to think about this. I would like to. That hindered my meditation completely. I was not able to meditate any further. Then I spoke about it with my meditation teachers, and they told me that having no thoughts is meditation, and you are creating thoughts and you want to strategize, when you have no thoughts. That's a lot of thinking. So I realized that, okay, just no pain. I think that is my target, keeping it short and sweet and reachable and small steps. And I will just target no pain. That's all. Then I started doing meditations. Boom, it worked like magic. There were times in the day when there was no pain. And the more meditation I was doing, the more time, turnaround time had increased when the pain would come back after the meditation. So I think after a month, the pain would go for longer hours. It was like hardly any time I was spending in pain. And I was accomplishing a lot during that time. So I realized that I was working a lot just because I knew now how to control the pain. And that working a lot was putting a lot of stress on me, and the pain was coming back. So I started balancing. Then I started going to yoga. So I was doing yoga, I was doing breath work, I was doing meditation. I think in 3 months or 3.5 months, roughly, I was out of pain completely. So, okay. And, you know, everybody who's dealing with pain, first stage is always fighting or maybe denial that how can this happen with me? The second stage is always the fear. The once the pain has stopped, it may come back. It may come back. I don't want to do this. It may come back. I don't want to go there. It may come back. I want to keep my medicines with me because it may come back. It may, that thought keeps running in your head. So I was doing a lot of exercise. I was doing a lot of yoga, using my arm to full length, but there was this thought in my mind that it can come back any moment. And I need to slow down. I need to slow down. I need to slow down. And that helped. That helped. Slowing down helped a lot. And then I was able to sleep in night after, I think after 1.5 years of no sleeping at all. Finally, I was sleeping. And that helped my whole body and mind like a magic. I think I was craving that sleep. I was going through that sleep debt. I really needed to sleep, and that changed everything. That changed my appetite. That changed my whole energy. I think I was recovering well. That changed my, perspective towards life. I was a little less angry on the world than I was at one point in time. And then it became so clear to me that this is what I want to do. If I can get out of this pain, I realize how many people would be sitting in the world who would be explaining that there is 24/7 pain, and I'm sure they need my help. And after that thought, I went to school and learned about yoga and meditation and finished my education in complete holistic wellness. And then I started, helping my friends and family. So my family started observing that, you've done something, you have changed, you look different. And they could see my energies getting changed. I was at one point in time, I used to stay in one dark room with all my curtains on all the time, all my lights off, just being in the bed, hiding my face all day long. I think I've spent like a year and a half like this. Wow. And now after 1.5 years, my family could see that again, I'm talking and I'm very talkative. So it was a shock for them that, okay, that, she's not talking at all and she's not eating at all. And I was back to life. I was talking, I was laughing. I was making efforts. I was saying no to a lot of people because I was slowing down in life. So I realized that I need to slow down and I need to be very mindful of what I'm doing in life. I just cannot be all over the place. I need to decide which way I want to go. But unfortunately or fortunately, dancing career was close at that time. And just because everybody was observing that, I became very mindful in my eating, in my talking, in my energies. What am I doing? So I was suggesting other people also in my family, in my friends, and they were getting benefited out of my complete studies of holistic wellness. So there my family suggests that why don't you start teaching this, and a lot of people can use your help. So then I started teaching yoga. I started by just opening yoga classes, and regular yoga I was doing with a lot of people. But then I realized that yoga classes also require a lot of discipline, and it's not very hard for people to just pay you money and not show up. For me, my my mission of life was something else. I was not sitting there and waiting for people to turn up or not turn up. I really wanted to create a change in the world at that time. I was all fiery at that time that, I need to create this change. I need to tell people that prevention is better than cure. So don't wait to catch any autoimmune disorder. Don't wait till the time you're bedridden. Take care of your health today. Start with yoga today. Start with breathing today. Do 10 minutes of meditation every day. I was in that mode at that time. So yeah, I started teaching and realized that I need people cut off from their daily lives. So I moved my yoga classes to yoga retreats. And that's what I have been doing since then. I put on yoga retreats, call everybody in for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 7 days, as many days you can take off from your life, but cut off from your life totally. Then you don't use your phones. Then you don't talk about work. Then you're not taking care of family. These
Wow.
are the days only for you.
That sounds awesome.
See, you when you have to change something, I understand why a lot of people cannot make that change because they don't know what to expect. If I was in pain 24/7, I didn't know what will happen, how will I behave if I will be out of pain.
Mhm.
I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what would I do with my life if I would do that. So when I call people at yoga retreat, I give them a taste of wellness. So they eat right, they do all the right things. They go by the sun. When the sun comes up, you eat. When the sun goes down, you stop eating. I tell them all the holistic ways of taking care of their body. And then they get a taste of it in just 3 days.
Hmm.
And they're like, oh, yeah, I think I can, take little bit activities out of this and put it in my daily life. So that's how they get kick-started basically with wellness.
Wow. What an incredible story. I'm just riveted over here. I mean, I relate to a lot of it, and your pain journey really resonates with me as far as what I've experienced. I can't stop thinking about this battle that you are fighting when you're in pain. You're trapped in this body that hurts all day long. And it's just like you're fighting this war, but it's by yourself and no one else can experience it. And then your own doctors question whether or not it's even real. That's so upsetting and offensive. And that's happened to me as well. And, I've also gone through this self-questioning of like, wow, if my doctor doesn't believe me, is my family going to stop believe me? Will my friends not believe me? Do I even believe me? Your body's giving you this feedback and telling you something is wrong, but no one else believes you. And it's so hard to live through that with your sense of self intact. That the loneliness of your journey is very striking. How do you feel about that looking back, that you fought through this moment of just of terror and like intense horror by yourself with other people not believing you? That's awful.
See, it's fearful. It's really traumatizing to be in this journey all alone.
Yeah.
Because pain is invisible. And now when I look back in retrospection, I might understand that, that they were not able to relate to 24/7 pain. But because if someone tells me also, listen, I have a headache, I have a pain in my throat, I would not understand because I can't see it. I can only understand, their actions, that how are they behaving. And people who deal with chronic pain, and I'm really talking about chronic pain. It's not like a pain which comes and which goes, or, any kind of activity is triggering it. No, you are in chronic pain all the time. It is not going away. So people who deal with chronic pain, they are fighting an invisible battle all day long and absolutely alone. No one else can understand what's happening with their body. No one else can understand what kind of thoughts they are getting. No one else can understand how they are producing that energy in them that they can move, they can work, they can talk. It's really challenging and it's messy because you are running in the world, you are showing up in the world every single day to achieve your goals, to be there for your loved ones, to live life to the fullest. But what is the fight which is going on inside? It's really like Matrix, that you're dreaming and you are in another world and you're fighting over there. If you die in your dream, you're dead in your real life. So that's what I understood, that if I give up here, if I give up here in my mind, I'm dead. Just
Wow.
because I did not give up in my mind, I am able to fight in the real world as well. So I understand today that it's a lot of fear. It's a lot of exhaustion. It's a lot of fight in explaining. It's hurtful that your loved ones can't understand what is going on. But believe me, they can't understand. So when I was learning Buddhism over my journey, I learned a lot of spiritual things. I was learning Buddhism, and in Buddhism, they gave me like two beautiful lessons. But one lesson I'm sharing here, they say if someone says they can't see it, believe them. They can't see it. That will give you a lot of satisfaction, because you will not keep fighting their perspective. If someone says they can't see the pain, they can't see the pain. If someone says they can't see the opportunity, they can't see the opportunity. And I understand that at face value. So that is what I have used all throughout my work when I'm working with fibromyalgia patients, when I'm working with endometriosis patients, any kind of pain, lupus. I'm dealing with all sorts of pain, chronic pain, and autoimmune disorders. When anybody comes to me and they say, I don't see any hope, I don't see any hope in this, I take it at a face value. I never tell them, no, there is hope, push, see, take a step, do it. No, it needs to come from within. It needs to come from within. If I am able to show you that I am the living example that you can get out of your chronic pain, I am a living example. You can also become another example and help other people. You just need to take that first step. That could be hard, that could be lonely, that could be scary, but just take that first step towards your wellness and win here first. So everything happens two times in the world, one in the mind and one in the life. If you can see yourself here, working it out, you will be able to deal with it in the real life.
Wow. This is just fascinating and really amazing stuff. So, who diagnosed you with fibromyalgia? When did that word fibromyalgia enter your story?
I think 2011, I met with an accident. In 2014, a doctor who was visiting India for a conference, and I tried to meet him, and he gave that diagnosis. He was working with one of the biggest hospitals in India, and he gave that diagnosis of fibromyalgia. And even after giving the diagnosis, I don't think anything got solved, because then the medical fraternity don't have medicines to treat fibromyalgia. Right. So what do I do with the name tag that this is fibromyalgia? But they don't have any medicines. There is no cure. So they end up again doing the same thing, the cocktails of medicine to treat your symptoms. So I realized that it was no help. Even after getting the diagnosis, there was no help at all.
You're also reminding me a lot of people I've talked to on the show who have complex regional pain syndrome, CRPS. Are you familiar with that?
No.
It's very much chronic pain that lasts after an accident when there's no, visible reason why this pain should still be happening. It's like the nervous system turns on pain signals and doesn't know how to turn them off. And very, interrelated. And at a certain point, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the name is, kind of like what you're saying.
Exactly.
What matters is what helps the individual person. So, what helped you is meditation, which is awesome. Like, this is so cool that like this answer was sort of internal. And, all these doctors are not believing you. Everyone's questioning you. You're going through this alone. Your pain is excruciating all day, every day. And then you sit down to meditate, and for the first time, you get that wish of wishing to have just a moment for that pain to turn off. And this, that's something I related to so much. Like when my pain was all day, every day, and I just had one moment. I remember like sitting down in my apartment early on when I lived in Seattle and just having a cup of coffee, and I was just super relaxed and just like, wow, this is a really nice morning. And then I have this chronic pain in my right temple, and it just turned off. And it has turned off twice, like in 15 years. Yeah. And now it's like at an all-time low now that I'm in recovery with a diagnosis with the right medication, where I can barely feel it. It's like at a 1 or a 2 right now, which is like, I'll take it. That's great. But this was the first time since it had started where it turned off, and it's just like background noise that's constant. And then all of a sudden you're just like, what? Wait, what? What happened? You just like look around and you see the world clearly, and you realize.
I also realize that, people who eat medicine, they are unwell, but they treat, they give rest to their body by using that medication so the body can heal itself. So how is body healing itself was my question.
Yeah.
Even in the meditation or all throughout my study of yoga or holistic wellness or even my spiritual study, I was always trying to understand how the body can heal itself, how, and how to start that self-healing process. What happens in the body? So I kept reading about it. I kept meeting people. I had a lot of questions about it because for once in my life, I had seen that when body takes over you, when you can't control anything, what it feels like. So I wanted to control. I wanted to take that control back. I wanted to take that power back. Then I will tell you what to do and you do that. Instead of my body is taking me anywhere and doing anything with my life, I wanted to take that control back.
And just having it happen once, it's possible and that it's attainable.
That was like a eureka moment, when you don't believe in anything, that's possible. And then all of a sudden it's right in front of you. That was really life-changing moment. I can never forget that feeling when I checked back on myself and there was no pain. It was like a eureka moment. Anytime I'm dealing with, any person who is going through severe pain, and even in cancer, people go through severe pain and they're losing hope. I always share this experience because I was also least expecting it that this would work. There was no expectation at all. I was just trying another thing like I was trying thousands of other things. And in my least expectation, in my surrender mode, it just happened. Wow, it was like a eureka moment. And I use this memory, very special in my mind, in my heart. Any of my low days in life, I recollect this memory and live this memory. And I'm always energetic and I'm like, I can deal with anything in life. I can deal with anything. I've dealt with the pain. I can deal with anything. It gives me that kind of courage. So I realize that anyone who's eating medicine is unwell, but wellness comes from what you do regularly, from your food, your nutrition, from your breath, your breathing, from your sleep, from your movement. So, that's from your positivity of the mind. So, simple things that we do regularly, they are keeping us healthy, but we don't understand their value till the time we are on bed and now we are, binded with medication. We will never understand the value of such things, which we are just generally doing from generations.
Wow.
So I realize that nutrition or yoga or mindfulness or breath work, these are not just the buzzwords. These are time tested solutions. People have written books about it. We have proofs about it. We've done studies about it. Actually, everybody has started realizing that there is something in the breath that can change your energy, that can clear your body. It can bring you to a state of, well-being. How is that? And I'm sure I'm not the only person talking about yoga or meditation or breathwork. Anybody who's on social media these days, I'm sure you must have come across on TikTok, on Instagram Reels, on YouTube Shorts. I'm sure everyone must have seen some videos which would talk about your well being through breathwork, meditation, nutrition, or yoga, but you just put it aside. You're like, not fancy at all. We like fancy things. We like to do fancy things. So if I just tell you, eat with the sun and don't eat after the sun sets. They're like, what's so difficult? But I come home at 6, but I cook at 8, but I eat at 9. But if I tell you 15 tablets, you eat this every single day, you will not say anything because ease. This is ease. You don't want to do the difficult thing.
It's so true. And I love what you're saying, and I also love this idea of like harnessing your body. And if we want to put this in scientific terms, because I think that in American society, I know you're in Canada, from India, but I'm here in America, and I know that there's a lot of pushback against this exact thing that you're saying, like these ideas that these simple ancient wisdoms can help you. People are like, well, that's not scientifically proven. They kind of brush it off. I'm like, well, you take these 15 pills. I'm like, yeah, give me the pills. I'll take the pills. The doctor prescribed it. That's what I have to take. But if we look at, chronic pain, fibromyalgia, we just had a great episode with Miguel about chronic fatigue syndrome a couple episodes back. And he was talking about how his nervous system got to a point of hypersensitivity where everything hurt, right? And this is a common theme on the podcast, this idea of the nervous system going into hypersensitivity mode, going into overdrive mode. And I believe that I have experienced this as well through a different means with mast cell activation syndrome, which has a lot to do with this, the nervous system being dysregulated. Yeah. And then if we want scientific terms to put to this, then we could say that you went through an injury, an accident, which caused your nervous system to go into this hypersensitive mode, that caused chronic pain. And then through mindfulness and meditation, you were able to calm that back down to a relative baseline. Like that's a scientific way to describe this thing, but I feel like the energetic spiritual side of that is way more valuable and something that is often overlooked, and people kind of devalue and say, oh, well, it's the science that matters. It's not the energy work, the healing, all of that. But that is how you get to that point. You can't get to that point of mindfulness. You can't calm down your nervous system unless you are addressing your spirit, your energy, your soul, this intrinsic thing that makes us human that we don't understand. We are a complete holistic picture in our bodies. We are body and soul, whatever that means. We are mind and energy. We are matter and thought.
Whatever you want to call. We are universe. Each and every cell is identical to the whole universe. And that has been proven again by one of the studies. So we are running, moving, eating, talking universe, living this life completely. So how do you, okay, let me put it in this way that positivity really helps. If you just start with one positive thought, and let's cut the race short. I won't really say think about or visualize how do you see yourself when you are well, because I know that didn't work with me when I was dealing with a lot of pain. But one thing did work. When I was, and I can say that in retrospection, when I was going through that time, I never realized that I was doing that. Okay, so because in desperation, I had stopped taking my medication and I was trying anything new which would look very exciting to me, that, oh, this is like a magic thing. I wanted magic. I was never ready to work on myself, and neither did anybody encourage me to work on myself. Nor my doctors, nor my family. No one told me, because they all could see I can't move. I can't move. I can't get out of bed. I needed help in walking. I needed help in eating. I'd cut off my hair. I needed help in getting ready. They could see that I'm not ready to work on myself. So everybody was trying to bring my attention to hope, that, just hope that you'll be better. Hope didn't work at that time for me. But one thing was for sure, that I was, even lying down on bed when I was immovable, just like a vegetable, lying down on bed, right side not working, with my left hand. Either I used to read books about how to heal, or I'm Googling something and trying to read about someone, trying to read the studies on body and how we understand pain and how to stop pain, and why some people feel a lot of pain, some people feel a little less pain, neuropathy, all of that. I was studying at that time. I realized that, when you eat a painkiller, your body has 17 main organs. And if you are eating a painkiller just for headache, so one Tylenol, one painkiller, you need only the 17th part to hit your headache. But 16 other parts are also going and getting absorbed by your other organs, by your blood, and are staying in you forever. So if you tell me you're not hungry, I feed you food, what do you think your reaction will be? Every time you say you're not hungry, I'm feeding you food, because everybody's eating. Everybody's eating. And how will your body feel? Rest of the organs, they don't need painkiller. They don't need that flow of medicine at all. They don't need that pinch of chemicals at all. But you're giving it all the while. You think you are in a healing process, then you're wrong. Rather, what you need to do when you're going through a lot of pain, uncontrollable, I tell everybody, start with gratitude. It's very hard. It is very hard. I'm telling you the first step as the hardest step. Rest of it is easy. So start with gratitude, because you have no idea that once you crack the code and come out of this pain, how your life will change. I'm saying that because today I'm not talking from my wound. I'm not talking from the pain. I'm only talking from the scars. I felt the pain. I'm carrying the scars very proudly. I had that. I will never forget that. All I'm saying is start with gratitude. Be thankful about the situation. Be thankful that you are getting medicine. Be thankful you're getting food. Be thankful your body can still move. Be thankful you are alive. Because gratitude changes your mind chemistry. It puts your life energy into a more positive state. And when you start working on the energy instead of working on the body, because body is hurting. Body is hurting. Nervous system is out of control. Body is hurting. You cannot do anything with the body, but you can still do a lot with your energy and with your thought process. So if you just start with gratitude, you will see the magnetism, the magic of one positive action of gratitude. It will start attracting everything which is positive. It may take a few days. It's not a magic. It may take a few days, but the life will actually start changing. Like a plant, you need sunlight, water, air, mud, you need everything, right? If I keep giving the plant only water and not rest of the things, it will not grow. Are you with me? But
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
if I start with one thing, I start with mud, then I bring water, then I keep it in the sunlight, then I keep it near my window. You think my plant will flourish? It will flourish. Ultimately, you have to start somewhere towards healing. I understand parasympathetic nervous system needs to be worked on. And this was my realization that I felt, and I had this accident. My body shrunk because I was very scared. I fell into a pit hole and I was scared. I needed to, take help to come out of it. I was bruised. I was bleeding. I got stitches. I went to doctor. I understand that. That was traumatic for me. How that happened all of a sudden, and in a matter of seconds, that happened. I was blackout. I didn't know how I ended up in that pit hole. I had no idea because that's how accidents happen. It was unbelievable. I was just in a state of shock. And I think I never came out of that shock. That was my realization. I never came out of that shock. I was shocked that for like 5 seconds, my life disappeared. Here I'm riding the bike, and here, boom, I'm in the pit hole. The next moment I opened my eyes, I was in the pit hole. And I needed help to come out. And I was hurt. So for 5 to 7 seconds, I don't remember what had happened. I don't know. It was like I moved to another lifetime and came back. I don't know. If you ask me what happened, I still don't know.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is I never came out of that shock. It was my biggest realization. I never accepted that. And I think my healing started to begin when I accepted that, okay, this has happened.
Yeah.
What next?
Yeah. I love your advice about starting with gratitude. I love that. I was going to ask you what's the first step, and that is the perfect answer. And that really resonates with me as well. I mean, I something with my therapist that we work on is a gratitude practice. And
Wow.
I feel like a huge part of what got me out of my flare up, I mean, the diagnosis, the medication, hugely
Absolutely.
helpful for me. And a bigger piece before that, before getting the diagnosis, before that, I had started to improve a little bit. And it was because I was trying to find joy every day. I was trying to find one thing that made me feel good and allow myself to feel the joy of it. And I think that when you're in chronic pain, it's very hard to experience joy and gratitude. It's very difficult because any moment you come close, you will feel a spasm of pain and be reminded that you have nothing to feel good about, right? And it took me a long time to start to break that mental pattern, because when you are telling yourself all the time that you have nothing to feel good about, you will not feel good ever. So finding a way to break through that, and it could be as simple as, having a treat that you like tasty treat. It could be as simple as watching a show or playing a video game. For me, it was, I was using a wheelchair at this point, and it was getting outside and getting some sunshine on my face and just feeling the wind on me and feeling how good it felt to be outside. And what a gift is that, this is something I think about a lot since that point, is like, what a gift that the world that we live on, to go outside on a nice day feels so good. Like, that's a gift, right? That alone is something to be grateful for.
Absolutely.
Simple, tiny things. And then after a while, they start to compound. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill, where this tiny little, one snowflake feels like nothing. It lands on your skin and it disappears. But when they start to collect and roll down a hill, then all of a sudden you have a giant snowball. And it's like, wow, this is a real, tangible, physical thing. And you can start to own it and carry it with you. And that made a huge difference in my life. So I absolutely love what you're saying about that. I have one more question for you. And then I want to hear about where people can go to connect with your program if people want to go on a yoga retreat, which sounds awesome. One last question for you, though. I love asking this question at the end of the show. So if you could go back in time and talk to yourself the day before your accident, you have no idea back then what you're about to live through, and you have lived through so much since then, and you've been through the depths of despair, but you've come out of it on the other side with this new appreciation for life and this new recognition of how you want to live, and now you're helping other people. I mean, that's a profound change. And, well, okay, one more question to ask before my last question. Would you change anything in your life if you could?
So first, I will answer this, not at all. I would not change anything in my life because, I think the kind of life I had lived before the accident, I needed to see this. I needed to see this to understand the value of life, to understand the power of my body, to understand the magic my mind can create. I couldn't miss on these beautiful things, I'm born with. I'm meant to enjoy this. And I didn't know that at that point in time. And I will answer the other question as well, that if what would I tell myself
Yeah.
a day before the accident? I think I really thought through this, and I would tell myself, slow down. I would really tell myself, slow down. I was hardly sleeping, hardly for like 3 hours. I was working very hard. I was trying to be that superwoman who would manage a beautiful marriage, amazing family life, woman entrepreneur, working on your company, earning great, investments, opening centers. And I wanted to be on world stage dancing all the time. I wanted to achieve a lot. And that is not wrong. Your dreams could be big. But my biggest learning of this journey is balance. Balance everything. The moment you are in so many steps all at once, you're meant to lose your balance. And if you don't know how to get that balance back, don't do it. It's not worth it. Don't do it. It was not worth it to lose my beautiful 3-4 years of life when I was at a peak of my career and dancing everywhere. It was not worth it. But if I have to slow down, I think I would have never lost that time. If I would have taken better care of me, there were signs. Fibromyalgia didn't come just because of that accident. There were signs before. It just got triggered with that accident. That's it. That's it. There were signs. I was not able to sleep well. I was working way too hard. There was no time when I was eating and what I was eating. All my focus was on managing everything because I don't know, in my head, I was some superwoman or something. I need to slow down. And that is, the time you did not spend on your wellness, you spend on your sickness. So the body needs that time of rest. You give it anyhow. You either work on your wellness and sleep well, get a 9-hour sleep, 8-hour sleep, or you spend on your sickness. It'll put you in hospital and, you spend few days over there.
Yeah.
But whatever the body requires for healing, it requires. It's a machine. You need to slow down. You can't run. So this was my biggest learning. And since then, by the time this learning had stride me over the years, I think I've never stopped meditating. I never stopped my breath work. I am always sighing and taking my time in answering everything, in doing any activity. I always take, okay, let's start. I never forget that I need to relax and, exhale longer, and I need to breathe. Exhaling longer is the biggest key to your healing. If you just cannot do anything, be in gratitude and exhale longer. If you inhale 4 times, you exhale for 8. See how your life will start changing. That's a meditation in itself. I would not say it's meditation, but it is in itself because it will silence your mind. It will quiet your mind. I would have taken that jolt because my mind was chattering. I'm always planning. In the middle of the night, I got some idea about a costume or a dance or some idea. I would write that. I was so passionately working. And that's not wrong. It was just that I needed to take care of other things. And if this wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't have achieved what I have achieved. And I've achieved so much love in this life because I was able to help so many people dealing with pain on a regular basis. I was also doing workshops on pain management or completely holistic ways. But then I realized that it's other things also. Manage pain is one thing, but manage life is also a skill. That's why I ultimately moved to completely yoga retreats where I tailor make everything what is required for your life. And because everybody is different, it's not like, one size fits all. You do 10 sun salutations, you do 5 breathing, you do 10 minutes of meditation. That's the recipe. There's no recipe. Everybody needs something different. Like for you, I would really like to take this moment and suggest you, why don't you try humming? It is going to be so beneficial for you. And I'm not just saying that humming as a breath work, where you breathe in and you hum. Not just this, you can hum a song. You're sitting, you're looking at the sunset, enjoying your coffee, start humming. It activates your vagus nerve. It relaxes your mind. It increases the nitric oxide in your lungs, which clears up your lung. It's clearing your oxygen that you're breathing.
I've never heard that. I love that. I'm going to try it right after we're done. No, I didn't know that.
Let's do this together because I really want that you try humming. It is going to be life-changing for your kind of condition.
Lead me through it. Let's do it.
Yes. So you have to breathe in once you think that you are fully in, and your stomach is pushed out, you're totally filled up with your oxygen. Then you start exhaling. So I will use my hands so you are making the humming sound as long as your breath is going. Okay? Mm-hmm. Let's try it for once. Okay? For best results, close your eyes. Okay, so breathe in. And whenever you're ready, once you do 3 humming breaths, you will see, there's no chattering of the mind anymore. You're not overthinking. You actually hear the silence in your mind. So try that. My heartfelt request. Try that and share it with me if it's working.
I will. Absolutely.
Because this is one magic trick, helps everybody.
This has just been so fun. What an incredible episode. Incredible story. I am so grateful to you for sharing your story with us so candidly and openly. And it's just so many powerful moments, so many things to take away from this conversation. I will be thinking about it for months moving forward, and I'm thrilled to be able to share this with our audience. Please tell us where we can go if anyone wants to connect with your program. Tell us about what you do. Do you have a website, social media? Where do people go to learn more about your wellness work?
So you can reach on highlivingwellness.com. You will get the complete routine and dates available for the yoga retreat. So come join me for any of the yoga retreats. You can also come on my Instagram page. I keep a check on everybody. I give challenges over my Instagram page. Be with me, do those challenges, and see how much discipline you can create in your life and how your life can change. So just meet me on High Living Pallavi is my Instagram page. And so come on High Living Pallavi and we can do this wellness journey together, all of us. I'm so blessed to be here. Thank you so much. I feel that, today is one of my biggest wish got granted because I always wanted to talk to a lot of people who are dealing with pain and wanted to help them. And because of you, because of this podcast, I'm getting that opportunity. And I just hope and pray that everybody gets some help. And if anytime anybody feels that they don't have any help or they don't have any friends or nobody's understanding them, please feel free to message me. I'm always available to talk. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Oh, that means so much to me. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. It's been very powerful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Major Pain. I'm Jesse Mercury, your host and the producer of this podcast. Artwork by Egg Salad Salad. Our theme music is the song Time Machine from my synth-pop album Sci-Fi, now streaming everywhere. Support this show on social media: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, all at Major Pain Podcast. If you have questions or comments you'd like to share with myself, our guests, or our listeners, send an email to majorpainpodcast@gmail.com. You can also visit our website to learn more about this show, support its creation, or comment on any episode at majorpainpodcast.com. Major Pain is supported by our listeners on Patreon. Thank you to our $2 per month supporters, our $7 per month patrons Naomi Adele Smith, Sonny Roberts, Kelsey Matson, Alexandria Henderson, Justin Minnick, Laura Stevens, Heather Muncie, and Robert, and our $25 per month producers Steve Kavanaugh, Chris Fowler, Trish O'Brien, and Hipster Leia. Learn how you can support this podcast while receiving special recognition on the show, gifts, and monthly bonus episodes at patreon.com/majorpainpodcasts.